Hey everybody, it's Josh from the Underground Garage. It's finally time. We're back on the twin turbo Mustang. I've had, a zillion people ask me when it's going to get done. And so the answer is soon. We're back on that project now, finally. I got most of the parts that I needed to finish the car. That was the main holdup on getting it done, was just coming up with the cash to get that stuff. So I've been picking away at it slowly over the last 6-8 months. And I finally got most of the stuff. I needed all the hoses, the radiator hoses, upper and lower, the heater hoses. There was a shitload of fittings, just various miscellaneous fittings to put the whole car together. Transmission cooler, engine oil dipstick and dipstick tube, transmission oil dipstick and dipstick tube. I needed a bunch of sensors. I needed the O2 sensors, various connectors. Still needed one wheel and a tire for the car. The car had no battery cables. There was a bunch of cold side plumbing that I needed, and just a bunch of stuff. I didn't have a steam port solution for the LS motor. I had to come up with something there. And just a variety of little things that took forever to knock out. I had no speedometer cable, all kinds of things. I got a little bit done on the car that I didn't video, so I'll recap that stuff right now. The battery cables are all done. I was able to get a lot of the wiring done on the car. All the stuff on the car works now. The headlights, the blinkers, the power windows, the dome light. Annoying ass door dinger and everything. All our stuff's working. Radio comes on. Everything works on the car, with the exception of some of the dash functions. The temperature gauge doesn't work yet, the voltmeter, things like that. But the vast majority of the functions on the car work as they did before the engine swap, just like it came from Ford. The turbos are clocked where they're gonna go and all locked in place. That let me put the actuators on for the internal wastegates. And I also was able to mock up the cold side plumbing for the first time from turbos to the intercooler, so that was nice. With the turbos locked in place, I was able to run the oil feed lines and also start working on the oil drain lines. The oil feeds were no problem. Buy a little billet adapter, it goes on here above the oil filter. And here's my 2 feed lines for the turbos that go on right there. All right, so the first thing that had to happen, I had to get the oil pan off, which would not happen. It would not come out of there with the flywheel bolted to the motor. The way the cross member and everything's all built, it just wouldn't come out of there. So I had to pull the transmission out of the car. I actually, even after doing all that, I still had to unbolt the motor mounts and jack the motor up some to get the oil pan out of there. But I finally got it out of there. I wound up with my first drain on the driver's side. It's right here, and it's pretty tight. Let me see if I can get a better shot of it. All right, here's the driver's side drain right here. And it actually comes out in the 90-degree barb fitting, comes around the K-member and goes in between the steering rack, or the steering column, and that bar right there. So it took quite a lot of measuring and whatnot to get that in the right spot where that would work. And then this is how this goes together. This goes on like this. See my drain, shoots right in that gap right there. The passenger side was quite a bit easier. This is the front of the motor, and you can see it's right there. So that one, I didn't have to miss anything. There's no steering shaft or anything on the side. So not a big issue there. One thing I'm gonna have to change, this is the drain line for the driver's side. If I use a rubber hose right here, I don't think there's gonna be an effective way to keep it off of this exhaust. This is also gonna get incredibly hot right out of the turbocharger. So I think I'm gonna go to a hard line right here. I'll do maybe some aluminum tubing or maybe some steel tubing. I don't do a lot of endorsements or anything like that on the channel, but I do want to give a shout out to SpeedometerSolutions.com. I gave them a call, let them know that I had a Chevrolet transmission going into a Ford Mustang, so I needed a Speedo cable that was Chevrolet on one end and then Ford on the end up in the car. There was absolutely no problem. They knew what length to make it for a Turbo 400 and a Fox body. And the other thing they did, they were able to put a VSS sensor in line in the middle of that cable, so which is awesome. Now I have a speed signal input for the computer in the car, which you normally wouldn't have with a Turbo 400 because it's not an electronic transmission. So they were a big help. They don't know about the YouTube channel or anything. I'm not being paid. I didn't get a deal on the parts or anything. It's just they did me right, so good on them. If you guys have any issues like that, SpeedometerSolutions.com may be an option. Check them out. All right, that gets everybody that watches the channel up to speed on the car. I've got all this stuff I need to get on the car. I think I have pretty much everything I need to finish it. So hopefully within the next month or so, get the car done, cranked up, and get out there and maybe start shaking it down. Make a couple passes, at least get out on the street and see what happens. I appreciate everybody that asked about the car, that was interested in the car, that wanted to know what was going on, why the car wasn't progressing, that sort of thing. So we're back on it now. So thanks guys, appreciate all that. I recently broke 5,000 subscribers, which is something I never thought would happen, ever. Never in my wildest dreams did I think the channel would be anywhere near that popular. And that's tiny. That's a tiny channel for YouTube, but for me, that was a big milestone. So I appreciate everybody that helped with that. That's pretty much it. I'm gonna turn off the camera and do some work on the car. And wish me luck. Appreciate it, everybody. Thanks. Bye. Before somebody spots it in the video and says something, the nitrous express setup, no, it is not nitrous for the car. That is the water methanol in my case, injection system to keep detonation away. I'm not opposed to putting nitrous on the car down the road, but if anybody saw that in the background, it's not a nitrous kit for the car.